The Lady or the Tiger. In the very olden times, there lived a semi-barbaric king who, on his visits to neighboring kingdoms, had picked up many new ideas. He was a man with an active imagination, and he took his job of leading and caring for his subjects very seriously. Among the modern notions that he had imported was that of the public arena. Here his barbaric imagination played out on a grand scale. He had built a vast amphitheater with encircling galleries, mysterious vaults, and hidden passages. And then he adapted it as an agent of justice, a place in which crime was punished, virtue rewarded. When a subject was accused of a serious crime, public notice was given that on an appointed day, the fate of that person would be decided in the king's arena. After the people were assembled in the galleries, and the king, surrounded by his court, sat high up on his throne on one side of the arena, he gave a signal, and a door beneath him opened, and the accused stepped out into the amphitheater. Directly opposite were two doors, exactly alike, side by side. The person on trial had to walk to those doors and open one of them. He could open either. If he opened one, out came a hungry tiger. It immediately sprang upon him and tore him to pieces. Iron bells would clang. The audience would go home, mourning that one so young and fair, or perhaps so old and respected, should have merited such a dire fate. But if the accused person opened the other door, there came forth a lady, the most suitable His Majesty could select from among his subjects. And to this lady he was immediately married as a reward for his innocence. Another door opened. A priest advanced to where the pair stood, and the wedding was solemnized. Brass bells rang out. The people shouted glad hurrahs, and the innocent man led his bride to his home. This was the king's semi-barbaric method of administering justice. Fair. The criminal could not know out of which door would come the lady. On some occasions, the tiger came out of one door, on some out of the other. The accused person was instantly punished if he was guilty, and if innocent, he was rewarded on the spot, whether he liked it or not. When the people gathered on one of the great trial days, they never knew whether they were going to witness a bloody slaughter or a joyous wedding. This element of uncertainty lent great interest. Thus, the masses were entertained as the wheels of justice ground away. Now, this semi-barbaric king had a daughter as blooming as his most florid fantasy. Her soul was as fervid and imperious as his. She was the apple of his eye. Among his courtiers, there was a young man, good-looking and smart, but of a relatively low station. He was head over heels in love with the princess, and the princess loved him with an ardor that had enough barbarism in it to make it exceedingly warm. Their love affair continued for many months until the king found out about it. King didn't hesitate. The youth was thrown into prison, and a day appointed for his trial in the king's arena. Everyone was interested in the workings of this trial. It was precedent-setting. Never before had a subject dared to love the daughter of the king. Of course, everybody knew that the deed had been done. The youth had loved the princess. Neither he nor she or anyone else thought of denying that fact. But the king would not think of it allowing any fact to interfere with the workings of the tribunal. No matter what the outcome, the youth would be disposed of, and the king would take great pleasure in watching the course of events. The appointed day arrived. From far and near, the people gathered, thronged the great galleries. The king and his court were in their places. All was ready. The signal was given. The door beneath the royal party opened, and the lover of the princess walked into the arena. Tall, handsome, fair. His appearance was greeted with a low hum of admiration and anxiety. No wonder the princess loved him. What a terrible thing for him to be there. As the youth advanced into the arena, he turned to bow to the king. But he wasn't thinking about the king. His eyes were fixed upon the princess who sat at her father's right. She, above all, had an interest in this trial. From the moment the decree had gone forth, she had thought of nothing else, night or day. This princess possessed more power, more influence, more force of character than anyone, except possibly the king himself. She had done what no other person had ever managed. She had learned the secret of the doors. She knew which of those two rooms crouched the tiger and in which waited the lady. Not only did she know where the lady was, she knew who the lady was. It was the fairest and loveliest damsel of the court. The princess had seen this creature throwing glances of admiration upon her lover, and with all the intensity of the savage blood from her long lines of barbaric ancestors, the princess hated that woman. When her lover turned and looked at her, he saw that she knew the secret. He expected her to know it. He knew she'd never rest until she had that knowledge. His glance asked which. It was as plain to her as if he shouted it. She raised her right hand and made a slight, subtle movement toward the right. No one but her lover saw her. He turned, walked across the empty space. Every heart stopped beating. Every breath was held. Every eye was fixed upon that man. He went directly to the door on the right and opened it. Now the point of this story is, did the tiger come out of that door or did the lady? The more we think about this, the harder it is to answer. It involves a study of the human heart, which leads us to devious mazes and passion. And don't think of it as if the decision depended on you, but upon that hot-blooded, semi-barbaric princess, her soul burning at a white heat beneath the twin fires of despair and jealousy. How often, in her waking hours and in her dreams, has she started in horror and covered her face with her hands as she thought of her lover opening the door to the tiger. But how much oftener had she seen him at the other door? How had she gnashed her teeth when she saw his rapturous delight as he opened the door of the lady? Her soul had burned in agony when she had seen him rush to meet that woman. She had heard the shouts from the multitude and the wild ringing of the bells. She'd seen in her imagination the priest advance to the couple and make them man and wife before her eyes. She had seen them walk away together. Wouldn't it be better for him to die and go to wait for her in the blessed regions of semi-barbaric futurity? And yet, that awful tiger, those shrieks, that blood. Her decision had been made after days and nights of anguished deliberation. She knew she'd be asked. She had decided what she would answer, and she had moved her hand to the right. The question of her decision is not one to be lightly considered, and it's not for me to set myself up as an authority or able to answer it. And so I leave it with all of you. Which came out of the open door? The lady or the tiger?